Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Najwa Amalia as a moderator in this presentation with topic semantics, understanding the meaning of words and sentence that will be presented by Para Susana Putri. Para, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for Amel for being moderator for my presentation. So my topic in this presentation is semantic, understanding the meaning of words and sentences. Okay, let's next. So what is semantics? So semantics is a branch of linguistics that studies meaning. It explores how words, phrases, and sentences convey meaning and how these meanings are constructed, interpreted, and changed over time. The term comes from the Greek sema, meaning sign, and was first used by Michael Bale in 1883. So this is an example of semantics. Consider the word path and semantic. We study how this word can have different meanings and based on context. For example, first is a bat flew out of the cave. So in first sentences, bat in the sentence is mean animal. And then second one, sport equipment. He hit the ball with a bat. So bat in the sentences, it's not mean an animal. So semantics helps us to understand and interpret these different meanings based on the situation. According to expert, before 1981, stating that English semantics means by theory of meaning or the theory of meaning, namely the systematic branch of language that investigates meaning or meaning. From Cambertel in Bower, 1979, semantics assumes that language consists of structure that reveal meaning when connected to object in human word experience. From Charles Morris, suggests that semantics examines the relationship between signs and objects that are considered for the application of these signs. The development of semantics. This is based on Resics. The first period of semantic growth with Ullmann termed the underground period was marked by emergence of a new concept of grammar proposed by Resic. The second period is semantic growth was made by the emergence of the work of French scholar Michael Britt. The third period of semantic growth was marked by emergence of the work of the Swedish theologist Gustav Stern, entitled Meaning and Change of Meaning, with special reference to English language in 1931. So this is type of semantic. The first is behaviorist, descriptive, generative, grammatical, lexical, historical, logical, and structural. So this is the explanation about type of semantic. The first is behaviorist. Meaning is determined by the situation, which means it is determined by the environment. Therefore, meaning can only be understood if there is observable data within the environment of human experience. And then, descriptive semantics. Descriptive semantics is a semantic study that specifically shows the current meaning, the meaning of the word when it first appeared. Next, generative semantics theory emerged in 1968 due to linguistics dissatisfaction with Chomsky's opinion. In their opinion, semantic structure and scientific structure are homogeneous. And then grammatical semantic is the study of similes that is specifically examines the meaning contained in sentences unit. And then lexical semantics is not very difficult. A dictionary is a good example of lexical semantics. The meaning of each word is described there. So lexical semantics is concerned with the meaning contained in the word sentence as independent unit. Then historical semantics. This historical semantics study emphasizes the study of meaning over time, which change in word from are more studied in historical language. And then logical semantics is a branch of modern logic concerned with symbolic concept and notation with analysis of language. Then structural semantics stems from the views of structural linguists pioneered by Saussure. Structuralists argue that every language is a system, a unique structure relationship consisting of units called structure. So that's all that I can say. Thanks for your attention, guys. I give it back to moderator.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Farah. I will open a Q&A session with 3 questions. If you want to ask, you can raise your hand. Bertanya lagi. Ini langsung pertanyaan atau apa?
Nanti cekin. Tapi kalau mau langsung pertanyaan boleh langsung materi dulu. Oke.
Okay, thanks for your presentation. We will move to next presenter.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Farah Susana Putri. As a moderator in this presentation that will be presented by Najwa Amalia. To Najwa Amalia, time is yours.
So I will read my language and technology, examining the impact of technology on language use and communication. The first definition of technology. The term technology originates from the Greek words techne and logia, where techne refers to the art of craftsmanship. From techne emerged the word technicus, which denotes a person with specific skill. As an individual skill develop and become more structured, exhibiting certain patterns, steps, and definite methods, the skill become more technological. The next is benefit of technology. Technology significantly influenced societal language use, with many Indonesian incorporating technical jargon and Persian language into their conversation, yielding both positive and negative consequences. Despite this, the Indonesian language remains predominant in print and electronic mass media, including visual and audio mediums. Acquire accurate spelling and grammar in media disseminated via the internet or television contribute positively to the development of the Indonesian language. Consequently, mass media plays a prominent and effectively and accurately propagating the Indonesian language. The next, the the impact of technology on communication. Yes. Positive. The first is facilitate access to information through the internet and enable quick long distance communication via mobile phones, email, and instant messaging apps. Pro- Promotes global culture exchange through social media and online platforms. Enhances enhances visual interaction through technologies like video conferencing, facilitate facilitates effective team collaboration through tool and online collaboration platforms. And for negative is the first has leads to dependence on technology, which can lead to social isolation. Brings digital disruption such as social media addiction, disrupting life balance, and raises serious issues of data privacy and online security. Allow for rapid dissemination of false information causing confusion or social conflict. And the last one creates a digital divide that exacerbates social and economic inequalities. And the next is how to overcome the negative impact of technology. Preventing the negative impact of technology requires a depth understanding of how to use digital device wisely. Use include the aspect of managing the time of using device appropriately so that individuals can identify what can have a positive effect and what can have a negative effect. For example, moderate use of social media and choose useful content can have a positive impact on mental well-being. where spending too much time on social media can lead to education, learning skills and technology is very important in overcoming the negative impact of technology. By understanding the basic principles of scaling and technology, individuals can develop the necessary skill to use digital device more intelligently and effectively. Okay, that's all I can say. Thank you, moderator. Thank you. Parah. Oh, oh yeah.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Najwa Amalia. This is next from two other presentation.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Diar Mukti Asri. As a moderator in this presentation with topic language and culture exploring how to language reflects and shapes cultural identities. That will be presented by Maisarah. To Maisarah, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Dian.
Oke, tunggu sebentar ya. Okay, wait a minute. Gimana cara ngezoomnya? Ya. Jadi gimana gitu? Oh, bentar. Bentar ya. Itu. Bentar, kita kerja. Mana gimana? Okay. Baik, jadi di sini saya akan membawakan sebuah presentasi yang berjudul Language and Culture, Explore how language affects and shapes culture identity. Before that, let me introduce myself, me Sarah, and I will present about language and culture. So, we have introduction. Language and culture exploring how language reflects and shapes culture identity. So, what is language? Language is not just a tool for communication, it also shows who we are and where we come from. Without historical language help with a mirror reflecting the diversity of our cultural identities. And understanding these things help us see how language influences the way we think, believe, and act, and how culture also influences language. And our discussion today for the first language and culture. Second, the second language identity. First is the function of language. Fourth, the evolution of language, and the last, the influence of the culture on language. Okay, so first, language and culture. What is language and culture? Language, it is the system of words and symbols used by people to communicate with each other. And what is the culture? Culture is the collection of beliefs, customs, traditions, and values shared by a group of people. And the second, linguistic identity. What is linguistic? The function of linguistic identity is the way a person or group of people are identified by the language they speak. It includes their accent, dialect, and the words they use, which show where they come from and who they are. The function language. So the function of language Two, that the first traditionally acknowledged its Western culture. Another traditionally recognized function of language is Western culture in expressing where what is expressed and feelings, emotion, and passion, usually of an individual, sometimes of an ethnic or gender group or other collective. And then secondly, readily recognized by linguistics. Two other functions of language that began to be widely recognized by linguists in the 20th century are the passive function and the formative function. Okay, what is the passive function and informative function? So the passive function, as explained by Bronislaw Malinowski, said that the meaning in conversation doesn't always depend on the words or preposition used, but on the situation or social context in which the conversation occurs. An informative function, according to G.L. Alkin, the meaning of affirmative language refers to the use of language that not only conveys information or facts, but also performs an action. So, the utterance itself, in Alkin's view, when someone affirms a affirmative sentence, they are actually carrying out a specific action. This concept is explained in his work How to Do Business with Words, published in 1962. So, function of language. A simple example of this can be seen in the use of emojis in today's digital communication. Emojis are small things used to quickly, easily convey emotion, feelings, or concepts in text. For instance, when someone sends a text message saying, "I'm so happy," they might add to a smiley face emoji to show a happy expression. That similarly, when someone says, I am free," they might use a sad face emoji to indicate their feelings. This use of emojis is a simple example of how language expression is used to convey emotion and feelings in everyday digital communication. And in spoken communication, we can also see simple examples of language expressions to convey emotion. For instance, when someone smiles and show open body language, they might be expressing happiness or warmth in the conversation. Conversely, if someone shakes their head with a gloomy facial expression, it might indicate disagreement or sadness. Body language, voice intonation, and facial expression are all parts of language expression that help us understand someone's emotion and feelings during communication. And example for informative function. One example of a sentence that reflects the formative function of language in everyday life is I apologize. In this sentence, the speaker is not only conveying information that they feel sorry, but also performing the act of apologize. Okay. Next, uh, the evolution of language. Around 2 million years ago, early humans thought pressure to communicate more complex ideas. This led to gesture becoming more conventional and reductions in movements that directly mimic objects. Gradually, spoken language started to replace manual sign language, although sign language still use hand and facial movements as symbols. Become more conventional. Language also developed in terms of grammar. This evolution was likely influenced by the development of episodic memory and the ability to imagine time, which involves understanding who did what, when, where, and why. And last, the influence of culture on language. In learning a language, everyone faces their own difficulties and obstacles with one assumes that language influences culture. However, in daily life, culture often precedes language. Take, for instance, the use of terms like consistency and Shishin Choir. These phrases are commonly used when the Chinese community celebrates the Lunar New Year. Such expressions are not used for other celebrations. This demonstrates that certain expressions or concepts in one language might not necessarily have equivalent words in another culture's language, and if translated, their meaning may stray far from the intended purpose. Conclusion: language and culture are deeply interconnected, are mutually influential. Language serves as a tool for communication, reflecting the social values and norms of our culture through its performative, static, and expressive functions. Linguistic identity reflects how individuals align with their language, showcasing the complex interplay between communication and self-representation. The evolution of language from primate gestures to human speech highlights adaptation, driven by the need to convey complex ideas and influencing social and cultural experience. Understanding a language requires not only the knowledge of its vocabulary and grammar, but also an appreciation, appreciation of the cultural context and values it embodies. Okay, thank you for the next information. Time is yours.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Mai Sarah. We will move to next presenter. I am Dear Mukti Asri. As a moderator, say goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Selawia Putri as a moderator in this presentation that will be presented by Dear Mukti Asri. To Dear Mukti Asri, time is yours.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Dear Mukti Asri. This time, I would like to present my article entitled Historical Linguistics, Tracing the Development of Language Through Time. Historical linguistics, also known as comparative historical linguistics, examines the development and comparison of languages. It is sometimes referred to as diachronic linguistics, studying language evolution over time, in contrast to synchronic linguistics, which focuses on language at a specific moment. This field encompasses various aspects, including analyzing the story of individual languages, investigating the reasons behind language changes, comparing languages, especially dialect. There are four methods of tracing the evolution of language. The first, comparative language. Comparative linguistics is a method used to trace the evolution of language. This method collects data from related languages and uses statistical analysis to discover rules of change in languages related to language families. This method examines the relationship between language and history and provides in-depth knowledge of the meaning and significance of words, phrases, and clauses. The second, historical phonology. This method collects information from related languages and uses statistical analysis to identify patterns of phonological change in related language groups. Historical phonology is an approach used to trace the development of phonology in a language. And third, morphology. Morphology serves as a methodology for tracing the evolution of languages, gathering data from cognate languages and employing statistical analysis to discern patterns governing morphological changes within language families. And the fourth, syntax. Syntax serves as a methodology for tracing languages, gathering data from related languages, and utilizing statistical analysis to discern patterns governing syntactic changes within language families. And there are three factors influencing language change. The first, social influence. Social dynamics, including economic fluctuations, political shifts, and demographic transformation, will considerable influence over language evolution. And two, cultural influence. Cultural shift also exert a profound impact on language evolution. Changes in cultural norms and practices and can manifest in linguistic modifications across various domains. And last, environmental influence. Environmental factors such as technological advancements, alteration and physical landscapes and shifts in social dynamics can significantly shape language change. For example, technological advancements may necessitate adaptations in language usage for electronic communication platforms. Alteration in physical environments may prompt adjustments in geographical nomenclature, and shifts in social dynamics may engender modifications in interpersonal communication patterns. And in conclusion, in conclusion, in conclusion, this discussion explains the important role of historical linguistics in understanding the evolution and change of language over time. As a branch of linguistic study, historical linguistics offers a diachronic approach in which focuses on language in a certain time. Shares methods such as comparative linguistics, historical phonology, morphology, and syntax help dissect the structure and evolution of languages. However, the evolution of historical linguistics was not simply the result of coordinated institutional efforts, but emerged from the discoveries of diverse scholars with different perspectives and methodologies. Social, cultural, and environmental factors also play an important role in influencing language change. The language change that occur also affect understanding behavioral norms and traditional practice in society. This understanding the evolution of language not only provides insight into the history of linguistics, but also opens a broad a window into a broader understanding of society and culture. So that's all from me. Apologies if there are any mistakes. Thanks for watching. See you and goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, okay, thanks for your presentation, dear Mukti Asri. We will move to next presenter. I'm Selawia Putri as a moderator. Good day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Lutfia. As a moderator in this presentation with topic the structure and function of written language in writing systems that will be presented by Sheila Aulia Putri. To Sheila, time is yours.
The structure and function of written language in writing system. Humans being cannot separate themselves from language In their lips, language serves as a verbal communication system to voice idea, touch, desire, and without from one person to another. The form of language are broadly divided into two, spoken language and written language. Due to the critical importance of language as the primary means of communication, language expects language activities to being as vital as breathing, not only humans. But the language system is also used by all living creatures in various diverse forms and types. Paradigmatical language becomes an function medium not only as a means of communication but also as a means of self-actualization and even spiritual meditation space. Many linguistics reveal various functions of language use according to human needs. Four of the most function language functions are language as a tool for self-expression, as a tool for communication, as a tool for social integration and adaptation in specific environment or situation, and as a tool for social control. The function of language are repertorial messages conveyed in a specific context or situation, motive the emotional atmosphere of the speaker. With the aesthetic function of language, static to maintain communication, connotative to evoke reaction in the speaker, and metaphorical to explain things related to the language itself to make them clearer. View from its function, paradigm language consistent of structural and pragmatic function, but interested with each other when used in social interaction. In everyday life, structural function that language consists of elements that later become the structure of the language system, such as phonological, morphological, grammatical, synthetic, and semantic elements. Understanding the structural aspects of language is well understood by everyone. Even language major students often struggle then to be read and might have difficulty understanding the various branches of linguistic science which are in that very broad. The structure and function of written language are written a writing system grammar establishes rules on how words are arranged to form clear and meaningful sentences. Syntax governs the arrangements of words and clauses in a sentence to convey phrase meaning. Phonology considers the use of letter, sound, and intonation in expression meaning. They all work together to create effective and understandable writing. Grammar encompasses rules that govern how words are arranged to form grammatically correct sentences. This includes concepts such as subject, predicate, object, and various types of words like noun, verb, adjective, and so on. Syn- Syntax is a rule set that governs the arrangement of words and clauses in a sentence. It involves how words are original to form meaningful and logical structures. Phonology. Phonology relates to the use of letter sound and intonation in written language. And it involves understanding how the sound combine to form words and how these words are pronounced correctly. Morphology. Morphology is a branch of linguistics that studies the internal structure of words and how they are formed from small units called morphemes. Semantics. Semantics is the study of meaning in language. It involves the analysis of how words, phrase, sentence, and text as a whole convey meaning. The Great Indonesia Dictionary defines kata as a language element spoken or written which represents the unit of feeling or touch that can be used in language. Meanwhile, istilah means a word or combination of words that specifically express the meaning of a content, process, condition, or characteristic specific to a particular thought. Initially, the meaning of a word is lexical, denotative, or conceptual. However, its meaning becomes clear only when the word is in the context of its clear and undisputed meaning, even without sentence context. Therefore, terms are often cited to be contextual while words are not. In the Great Indonesia Dictionary, idiom refers to a constellation whose meaning is not the same as the combination of its elements. Meanwhile, peribahasa refers to a group of words or sentences with usually conveying a specific meaning, including proverbs, expressions, smells, idioms, and semantics is a lexical meaning formed from several words. Idioms and proverbs exist in a language where especially in language where speakers have a whole culture. For example, anjing dan kucing means two people who never get along. This meaning has an association that the animal named dog and cat always fight and never make friends when they make sound. Conclusion, the study elucidated that in language there is a structure that is part of linguistic studies with many branches. The celebration between language structure or combination involves a process with the following flow. Language initially consisted of abstract sounds referring to specific symbols. A set of symbols constitutes a system with certain arrangement or rules. The symbol forming language component with their form and rules so associated with specific meaning. The thought combination regarding the stress from the basic to the final structure of language becoming the field of linguistic study. Phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. Phonology is the scientific field that deals with language sound and their function. Morphology is the linguistic field that deals with the interface of words and their transformation process. Syntax is the linguistic part that deals with the arrangement of words and word group forming phrases, clauses, and sentences and discourse. Morphology is the linguistic part that deals with the ancient word and their transformation process. Syntax is linguistic part that deals with arrangement of thought that deals with the meaning of language expression or the meaning of relationship between word forming phrases, clauses, sentence, and discourse. The exact development or grammar aspect is incorporated in textbook and entered for language learning in classroom, covering phonology, morphology, syntax, semantic, and discourse.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Shelaulia Putri. Now we will move to the next presenter. I'm Nur Lutfia. As a moderator, want to say thank you very much for your attention and goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Where are you, Farah?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Farah Susana Putri. As a moderator in this presentation with topic language acquisition, understanding how children learn their first language. That will be presented by Nur Lutfia. To Nur Lutfia, time is yours. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Farah Susana Putri. As a moderator, is as a moderator in this presentation with topic language acquisition, understanding how children learn their first language. That will be presented by Nur Lutfia. To Nur Lutfia, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much to moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now I want to present you the article about language acquisition, understanding how children learn their first language. For the first page is abstract. So the article that I made is examines child language acquisition. It's focusing on phonology, semantics, and also syntax. So it discussed the influence of environment, social interaction, and also cognitive development. It highlights innate predispositions and linguistic universals, shaping language comprehension, and also the analysis deepens understanding of this milestone, offering insight for educators and researchers. Next page is table of content that what we'll gonna discuss. First is language acquisition. Second is theatrical framework, and the third is linguistic development. Next is introduction. So for the introduction, what is language acquisition? So in simple, language acquisition is how children naturally learn to understand and also communicate using words, including syntax, pronunciation, and also vocabulary. So language acquisition in children is how they learn and also understand language naturally. It's like wings for a bird that help them to fly. So children doesn't need to be formally taught language, like they learn naturally through everyday experiences. So this is different from learning, which occurs through formal education. So children learn language by listening to and also observing adults and peers. They also create their own language rules based on what they experience and need to communicate. So this process is very important because language helps them express their thoughts, feelings, and needs to others. And the importance of language acquisition in children is also significant because it helps in developing communication skills and also helps them understand the meaning of words and ways to express themselves well to others. So all of this help them become effective speakers and good listeners as they grow up. Next batch is we're gonna discuss about theoretical framework. So the theoretical framework, there are three. So first is behaviorist theory by B.F. Skinner. So behaviorist theory suggests that language acquisition happens through conditioning and reinforcement, akin to how animals learn behaviors. Children are molded into language users by their environment, with positive reinforcement, encouraging language use repetition. So, B.F. Skinner's theory is basically to be rewarded. Example, like when our child says a word correctly, we praise them. So it makes them more likely to repeat the words. But however, if they say it wrong or unclearly, we might ignore it. So it makes them less likely to repeat the mistake. So according to Skinner, our environment helps shape how we learn language by giving us positive or negative feedback on our attempt. Next is nativist theory by Noam Chomsky. So the nativist theory states that the ability to learn language is innate, also referred to as universal grammar. Linguistic nativism states that humans are born with an innate ability to learn language. Based on Noam Chomsky theory, Chomsky believes in the concept of universal grammar, which is a basic language rule system for all human languages. According to Chomsky, children naturally learn language through the language acquisition device they process at birth. Chomsky also suggests that there is a critical period between the ages of 2 until 7, during which children effectively learn their first language perfectly. And after this period, the ability to learn language is declines. Next is interactionist theory by Vygotsky. So the interactionist theory is we can call it sociocultural theory or SCT, is argues that social environment and interaction shape language development. So it developed by Vygotsky. This theory emphasizes first social interaction. It's like children learn language through interaction with caregivers and peers, and the second zone of proximal development. It's like children learn better with assistance from more knowledgeable individuals within the ZPD. Third, scaffolding, and the fourth, language as a thinking tool. So it's like language help children organize thoughts and also help them solve the problems. So this theory highlights the importance of social interaction and language learning. Next is phonology. So phonology is important in how we learn language sounds. It's about understanding the sound system of a language. So how phonology is connected to language learning and language acquisition. So the first is phonological awareness. Knowing and playing with sounds help us learn language. So children can learn from what they hear and also blend and separate sounds in words. Second is speech development. Kids learn to talk in stages, starting with simple sound and moving to more complex one like bubbling or something. And then the language differences. People speak differently based on where they're from. So kids learn to understand and speak like those around them. And understanding phonology is really help us learn and teach like language better. So it's important for kids and people learning new languages. Next, there is semantics. Semantics is the study of the meaning of language and is really crucial to language acquisition as it enables individuals to understand and also communicate meaningfully. The relationship between semantics and language acquisition is because semantics can be central to acquiring vocabulary. When children learn words, they also learn their meanings. They start with concrete words representing real objects or actions, and then they can develop more abstract and also complex vocabulary related to emotions, concepts, and also relationships. So, and then children can also use various semantic strategies to learn new words, such as contextual clues or associating words with known concepts or experiences. Semantics also can help children understand relationship between words like synonym, antonyms, and anything else. Semantics plays a vital role in language learning by promoting vocabulary development, word learning strategies, understanding word relationships, pragmatic development, and conceptual development. Understanding the semantic aspect of language learning is important for educators and also caregivers to effectively support children's language development. And next is syntax. Syntax is essentially concerned with how words are arranged and relate to one another within the constraints of a language's grammar. Syntax is fundamentally composed of a number of elements such as word order, sentence structure, grammatical categories, and rules for sentence production. Children can gradually learn their native language structure from simple to complex one like embedded clauses and passive voice. And children can also internalize grammar rules through linguistic exposure and interactions, like understanding the roles and categories of words in sentences. And next is conclusion. So, in conclusion, Language acquisition in children is influenced by many things like behaviorist, nativist, and interactionist theories, as well as phonology, semantics, and also syntax. Behaviorism emphasizes environmental stimuli, nativism focuses on innate linguistic knowledge, and interactionism highlights social interaction phonology. Semantics and syntax provides insights into the specific linguistic aspect. Overall, language acquisition is a complex process shaped by biological, cognitive, social, and environmental factors, with implication for education and society. Thank you. I think that's all about my presentation today. I'll take it back to the moderator.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Rupiah. So now I will open a Q&A session with 3 questions. If you want to ask, you can raise your hand. Okay, well, since there is already a question in the chat column, then I invite the presenter to answer the question started by Diar Mukti Asri.
Okay, I will answer for a question. Historical linguistics can reconstruct cultural aspects by analyzing linguistics data to reveal social, cultural, and environmental contexts from the past, such as agricultural or kinship terms. And I will answer Amel's question. How is the development of technology of research in historical linguistics? Technology accelerates research with digital tools, databases, and analysis software, making ancient text more accessible and analyzable. It also aids in proto language reconstruction and modeling language evolution.
Okay, thank you, Diar, for your answer. Next will be answered by Najwa Amelia.
Okay, I will answer the question from Lutfia. The answer is technology influenced the use of of language by introducing technical jargon and foreign language into everyday conversation, which can have positive effect such as enriching vocabulary, but also negative effects like misunderstanding and imbalance in the use of local language. Why is this? Terus apa, Para? Udah terusin, terus kayak menjawab pertanyaan dari si ini lagi. Okay, next I will answer the question. The Indonesian language remains the main language in print and electronic media, including visual and audio media. This help maintain and develop the correct use of the Indonesian language in public communication. And siapa yang nanya yang ketiga nih? Wait a minute. Kemana Udah yang bahasa Indonesia tuh kirim. Sorry banget, guys. I will answer para question. So the answer is mass media play an important role in promoting the correct use of the Indonesian language by presenting high quality content that use proper spelling and grammar to setting an example for the public in everyday language use. And the last one I will answer celebration. Dependence on technology can lead to social isolation, reduce face-to-face interaction, and cause addiction to social media, disrupting like balance. Okay, that's all I can say. Thank you so much for attention. Thank you so much. Yun lanjut. Ini yang
Okay, thank you for Najwa Amalia for your answer. Okay, next will be answered by Sela Aulia Putri.
I will answer their question. The process of teaching the children involves introducing the basic symbol we start with learning the alphabet or basic characters and progress to more complex writing skills as children develop literacy.
Okay, now I will answer the question first from my Sarah. Explain the behavioristic of language acquisition as outlined in the paper and how does it differ from the nativist. So the paper is discusses several key components of language acquisition, including phonology, semantics, syntax. Salah. Wait. So the behaviorist theory is outlined in the paper, posits that language acquisition occurs through conditioning and reinforcement. According to this theory, children learn language by imitating the speech that they hear around them and receiving reinforcement for correct language usage. So in contrast, the nativist theory proposed by Noam Chomsky suggests that language acquisition is innate and governed by a universal grammar present in the human brain. Chomsky argued that children are born with an inherent ability to acquire language, and their linguistic development is guided by biological factors rather than external reinforcement. Unlike behaviorists, who emphasize the role of environmental stimuli, nativists emphasize the role of internal cognitive mechanisms in language acquisition.
room 2, Pak.
Next is the question from Farah. What way does phonology impact language acquisition, and what are some examples of its influence on children's speech development? So phonology. Wait. So phonology impacts language acquisition in various ways. So children learn to recognize and produce the sounds of their native language through phonological awareness activities such as distinguishing different sounds, recognizing rhymes, and segmenting words into individual sounds. Phonological development progresses from simple sound to more complex speech structure as children acquire language. Like for example, infants began from like babbling and imitating sounds they hear, eventually developing the ability to produce words and sentences. So phonological variation in dialect specific to their linguistic community. Belum bisa ada satu tapi udah. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let me answer a question from Najwa Amalia. So, question from Najwa Amalia is, how important is culture to language? So, culture and language are closely related. They both influence and reflect each other. Language serves as the primary means of conveying culture, values, traditional, and norms. On the other hand, culture affects language usage, including vocabulary, sentence structure, and communicating style. In other words, culture shapes language while language also mirrors culture. And question, second question is from Lucia. So, question from Lucia is, what is the purpose of studying language and culture? So, learning language and cultures allow us to understand how people communicate and live in various parts of the world. Language and culture are vital aspects of human life. Understanding others' language and culture enables us to communicate effectively, build better relationships, and appreciate different perspectives. Moreover, studying language and cultures also open doors to understanding the history, tradition, and values of other societies, which are incredibly valuable in this era of globalization. And the last question is from Arif. So question from Arif is, why it is like that culture influence language. So culture influence that values and will have a language that reflects other or those with higher social status. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, I will answer the question from Sela. The term semantics, who first introduced the term semantic and in what year? So the term semantics was first introduced by French biologist named Michael Beale in 1883. And then next, I will answer the question from Najwa Amalia. What are some key differences between lexical semantics and grammatical semantics? So, lexical semantics is concerned with the meanings of individual words and their relationship within a language. It focuses on understanding the meaning contained in words as independent units. But grammatical semantics examines the meanings that around the grammatical structure of sentences, analyzing how word meanings interact with each other within the syntactic framework to convey specific message. So that's all from the presentation today. I'm as a moderator. Say goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Tuh.